really, really cheap. And so these guys are going to they're going to get bypassed, and nobody's going to pay. If anybody pays $400 or $500 a week, they should be shot.
Yeah, they just
Because
don't
all you got
know.
to do is walk down. They just don't know, right? So I actually believe in Jane McClellan's
Excellent
pathways.
book. Yes.
And I believe in what care oncology is doing. And if somebody asks me, "Are you doing it?" I say no, but I have a really good answer for why I'm not doing it. I'm in complete remission, and this cancer is notorious for coming back. It's like playing whack-a-mole when you were a kid. You kill it over here and it comes back over there, and you kill it over here and it keeps coming back.
Right.
So I'm reserving the care oncology cocktail and everything else for the day that, knock on wood, it hadn't happened yet, that if I come out of remission,
Right.
So that my body hadn't built up any, resistance or whatever to it. So I'm going to take fenbendazole the rest of my life.
Yeah. And are you still doing the same protocol?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm not as rigorous with it as I was when I was trying to cure the cancer.
Sure.
I mean, for example, I still do the curcumin. I still do CBD oil, and I do a little bit of vitamin. I don't take as much vitamin E as I did, but I'm not as rigorous in those other items as I am the Panacure, the fenbendazole.
Yeah.
The fenbendazole, I'm very rigorous. I take that 3 days a week.
Yeah.
And I'll take it 3 days a week the rest of my life.
Yeah. Now, we were mentioning dosing earlier. Like, I noticed that some people, when they initially start, will take it for a couple of weeks or a month or something daily.
So
Is that any benefit there?
Well, let me tell you, I only did 3 days a week because that's what was passed on. The allegory story was passed on to me, and that's how I got to it. I mean, there wasn't anything scientific about it. There is research. It's funny. If you want to research something, you can find almost anything that you're looking for. If you want to be a naysayer or a positive thinker, it doesn't matter. You can find something on the internet to prove your position.
For sure.
And there was one piece of research 18 years ago, and it was never done with any animal studies. It was only done in a petri dish, and it said that fenbendazole could negatively impact liver function. Well, and that was an 18-year-old with no animal studies, no humans or animals, just a petri
dish. Yeah.
Right. So I do believe that the reason this 3 days on, 4 days off got started was because they didn't want to overload the liver. Okay. But just because there's so many people following my protocol, I mean, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, people just started toying with and playing with the dosages themselves. These are brave people. They just started doing stuff. I have one lady who said, well, if 1 gram's enough 3 days a week, I'm going to take 4 grams 7 days a week. How she chose to do that, I don't know, but it really worked for her.
Yeah. And
then people started saying, well, I need to take it 7 days a week to get started, to jumpstart the process. And then some people have just taken it 7 days a week long term.
Right.
Now, I believe that the toxicity trial on mebendazole that was done by Johns Hopkins is a pretty good safe harbor for what the dosage safety is for all the sister anthelmintics. I think the molecules are so similar.
It's got to be close.
And it's got to be close. And Johns Hopkins says 300 to 500 milligrams every day long term is safe. And so we now have a lot of people, in fact, most people are starting off at least with 7 days a week with the fenbendazole. And then for however long, and if they tolerate it, and then they go back in for their blood tests and their liver enzymes haven't spiked, then they're saying, shoot, I'm just going to go 7 days a week forever.
Right.
And the second thing about dosing is there is research out there that I didn't find 2 years ago that I've only uncovered recently that says it is uptaken into the bloodstream much more efficiently if you take it with food, and even preferably a fatty food.
Yeah, I take it with black seed oil. Because apparently,
oils and fat. Right. So I'm updating the blog for that too. So we're all learning. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. And as I say in my blog, the only thing I'm really authorized to do is tell my story.
Yeah.
And if somebody chooses to follow the story, that's their business.
Yeah.
I'm not prescribing medicine.
Yeah. You know? Neither am I. I'm not a doctor either, although I've played one at the bar a few times. But that's a different story. So what do you say to, there's always naysayers that accuse of offering, false hope. And then there's people that, they criticize, anecdotal evidence, and everything has got to be clinical trials. And of course we know with natural products and then things like pharmaceutical products that are past their patent, people aren't going to spend the millions of dollars doing clinical trials necessarily. But what do you respond to that?
Well, I'll respond to it 4 ways. First of all, to the argument that I'm giving false hope, if I save one other life, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
If somebody, and by the way, I'm keeping a detailed audit and chronicle of the unsuccessful stories too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have an ego about this. I'm not trying to make money off this.
Yeah.
I'm not monetizing it. I have no dog in the fight as to whether somebody believes it or not. Right. They can choose not to believe it. And so I'm okay with that. That's their business.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
But here is what is happening. We have a major medical research foundation that has seen enough evidence of what I'm telling to be true that they have agreed, and it's a lot of work, and everybody's impatient. Everybody that wants to read this blog and read the updates on the Facebook page, they want to know, what are the success stories? Tell me those. And I'm going, look, in order to audit those, and first of all, when you're doing a rear view mirror look, the best case scenario is it's always going to be, in the eyes of the FDA and forward clinical trials, a rear view look is always going to be considered anecdotal.
Sure.
Okay. But not all anecdotal stories are created equal, right? If I have a major medical research foundation getting all the legal releases under HIPAA laws,
yeah,
and getting all access to the doctors and access to the medical files and access to the CT scans and PET scans and dosages and other things, everything that was done on that patient.
Yeah.
And a major science organization audits those rear view mirrors, then yes, it's still going to be considered anecdotal.
Yeah.
But it'll be irrefutable anecdotal evidence.
Yeah.
People will look at a database of 100 people that all became NED.
Yeah.
When they were told there was nothing else they could do. Then if somebody wants to ignore that at your own peril, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And it will add credibility to the story. Now, the goal is to figure out a way to still make it available to humans in a more efficient manner. Because remember, it isn't just all about the United States FDA.
Yeah.
We got billions of people in third world countries who are very poor, and they get cancer too.
Mm-hmm.
And with a drug that's so cheap to make, there is a reason for me to want to see this move to where somebody in Africa they can afford $4 a week.
Yeah.
You know, somebody in South America in the jungle can afford $4 a week.
Yeah.
And not everybody has to go to MD Anderson and spend millions like I did.
Exactly. Yeah.